about this one? I know that women often blame men for the breakdown in their relationships. And how can us women transform that story?
Well, you just do. You turn the corner on it. You just decide that that bitterness is coloring everything. You know, bitterness. We suffer. If we're going to become bitter, we're the ones who are going to suffer. Yeah, the guy will suffer for a while, or if you're a guy, the woman is going to suffer for a while. But very quickly, they're going to move away from you. They're gone, and now you're left alone or with some person you're settling for, some person you don't really want to be with, some person you don't even understand. How did I get here? What am I doing? You know? But it's hopelessness, bitterness, all of that. Blame, shame, all of that. Complain, all of that misery. So just quit it.
We have to pay attention, there's no doubt.
Yeah.
So let's explore about men. And many of them actually feel hopeless too. How can they actually have a different perspective so that they can indeed create a truly loving marriage?
They have to learn these skills. These skills really work. When I work with men, this is all new to them. When I work with women, they have sometimes heard of this before, but they never thought it applied to them, or they never thought they had to learn it, or they never thought they had to master it, or whatever that might be. But for the men, normally these are very successful businessmen that I work with, men who are very successful in their lives, but they don't have the capability of motivating their partner to deeply and intimately love them and be passionate with them and be connected to them with all of the emotion that feels so delicious. And so they don't know how to do it, and then the woman doesn't know how to do it, and nobody does it. And so they find me, and I'm their coach, and I teach them. And it's eye-opening to them. It's usually like, oh my God, we're in a different planetary system, is what it feels like.
Yeah, good point. And they want to be there. Now, if you're, let's say, with a man who is aggressive in business, how can you shift that type of behavior into a loving partnership with you?
You know, it's very, very hard because it's one thing to be an alpha male, you know, and a real alpha male doesn't have to be and won't be aggressive like that. A real alpha male knows that all he has to do is, and basically, you know, we all come running. So that's real alpha behavior. When a guy, like I gave a free session to a guy last week, and he was a friend of one of my clients, and he was so aggressive and so argumentative and so unconscious, so completely unconscious of me and what I was offering, that after half of the session was over, I said to him, well, I can tell that you really know everything you need to know about an intimate relationship. And so there really isn't any reason for us to be on the phone anymore, but I so appreciate you giving me a chance to tell you a little about what I do. And he was like, I said, thank you. You're absolutely welcome. And I'll tell so-and-so we had a lovely chat. Really?
Boy.
So any smart woman who doesn't enjoy that kind of aggressive, argumentative, harsh behavior is going to do what I did. You're just going to very graciously sidestep your way out of there, and then you're going to double bolt the door and say, thank God, you know, let him lose my number.
Absolutely.
So it just doesn't work. No woman wants any part of that. So if you're a guy and you're watching this, this is what you do. You've got to learn how to self-soothe. You've got to master self-empathy. Now, if that guy had called me and he said, I have a problem, and I know I have a problem, and I've heard that you're really good with anger management, because my track record with anger management and clients is about 1/3 of the normal time it takes, and my clients get over anger. It's done. They've got the skill, they've got the tool, they develop the brain patterning. If they need supplements, they get the supplements. I tell them where they can go, or they go somewhere else. And it's done. They're not these angry, mean people anymore.
Nice. Yeah. round the corner on anger if you have that issue.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely.
Now, what about these, let's say, defensive men, and how can they shift into a lovely, loving, deeply relationship?
So defensiveness is fear. So just like aggression is anger, defensiveness is fear. So whether you're a man who gets defensive or a woman who gets defensive, that's you reacting. So again, you notice you're feeling scared. You're noticing that you're about to say something defensive, which you know won't work, because I've proven to you 6 different ways it doesn't work in a session. And then you calm yourself down. I'm feeling scared and I need safety. Breathe. I'm feeling disappointed because I need respect. Breathe. I'm feeling worried because I need understanding. Breathe. And after you've been practicing a while, that 3 rounds of self-empathy should do it. But, you know, when I teach this to you, you'll be able to have 20 rounds of self-empathy if that's what you need. But the bottom line is never self-express when you're feeling frightened, angry, sad, or any flavor of that. And if you want more information about this, please let me know. I'll send you the attachments in an email. And if you want a free session with me, of course, you know, you just have to contact me. Happy to do it.
Give yourself a timeout and give her a call. Really.
Exactly. Thank
These
you.
skills are so important. Well, I know that if you say that the woman is the one to lead the way to intimacy, how can they overcome their resentment that they have so much pressure on them to do this?
What can I tell you? The men on this planet are not as evolved as the women. Go to any meditation event and count the number of men and count the number of women. The only reason I married my second husband was because I wanted a husband who was part of my meditation path. And there were literally 3 single men who had the right education and were in the right age group. And this is an organization that has tens of millions of people around the world. And I wanted one who was in America. So, not that I'm making a dopey excuse, though it sounds like I am. But my point is, there are so many of us women who are evolved, who are committed to transforming our lives and our souls and all that, and not so many men. So don't resent that you have to do it. Just thank God if you find a guy worth doing it with.
Yeah, he's worth it. I have the skills. It's on. Now, how is empathy the #1 solution to actually creating a breakthrough for trust and for safety?
So if you're going to calm somebody down, which is empathy, you're going to be able to connect with that person because you're calming them down, not by saying, oh, calm down, calm down. You're saying, you know, it really sounds to me as if you feel worried because you want to be sure that I respect you. And you feel really nervous because you want to be sure that you respect yourself. And I imagine that when you think of this situation, you also probably feel really concerned because you want it to be fun. You want to have a great time. So do I understand? And now in the particular situation I'm thinking about, that's, I would imagine, about 97% of what's going on over there. And so now the guy is feeling understood. So he's not feeling like I'm calming him down to shut him up.
Right.
I'm calming him down as the result of a deeper level of understanding. Now, let's say instead of the person I'm thinking of, this is somebody who's got a terrible temper. You know, somebody who's really dangerous, you know? So if it's somebody who's really dangerous, then, you know, and they're, and you can't get out of there because your first choice is just take your keys, take your handbag, take your child, take your dog, and go. If you can't do that, then you got to calm him down. Yeah, I really can hear that you're feeling very upset because you had wanted blah, blah, blah. And yeah, I can hear that you're feeling really angry because you had understood that by this time today, such and such was going to deliver whatever it was. and you've tried to reach him on the phone, and you don't even understand why he's not answering the phone, because you need that, and you need it now, right? And that might be all you need to calm this guy down, and then you can say, would it help if I go offer to pick it up? Because you want to get out of there, remember. You don't want to be around an angry person, so you're thinking, how do I justify getting out of there? And then you get the hell out of there, and you say to the guy that you're picking the product up from, whatever it is, if it's drugs, who knows what, you have to deliver it, because I'm never going back there, you know.
Very
So try
smart.
to, you know, two birds with one, you know what.
Oh, that's great, Susan. Now, let's explore, what difference does consistent affection make in expanding intimacy?
Well, consistent affection is on the road to trust. So if you want somebody to trust you, you've got to figure out a way. And here's the tricky part. Anybody can pretend to be in love all day, every day. And everybody can pretend to love all day, every day. But you're human living in a body. And what you also have to be able to do is that you also have to be able to discuss things that are challenging for one or both of you. And you have to be able to do that in a connecting, loving, intimate way, which takes a lot of skills. So when I say consistent intimacy, consistent affection, consistent love, consistent, I'm also factoring in that something will come up, but you have to handle it in a loving way. And here's the trick, here's the secret. Make no decisions on your own. If you want to be in an intimate, loving relationship with her or with him, tell them what you're feeling and needing. Tell them what is alive in you, what's happening inside of you, and ask if they see another way around it. Now, this can be a new language for somebody. They may not even understand what you've given them. You've given them this huge gift on a silver platter with your name on it. They may not have this training, so they don't understand. But stick with it. Stick with this understanding that making a precipitous decision for us can never work. Making a decision together for us is always going to be a solution. And it's going to allow a deep level of intimacy and love and trust to develop over time. Because, of course, this is all about time, too.
I love that. The consideration of the other person. Now, if women and men are really, truly empathetic, though we know we can't really read someone's mind, how can we know when someone really, what they really want or what they really need?
Well, you're not a psychic. You're not supposed to be reading their mind. The job is to use empathy and end with, do I understand? Or did I get that right? Or is that how you feel? Or is that how you see it? So you're always checking back. So 3 rounds of empathy and a check back. Or certain circumstances, 1 or 2 rounds of empathy with a check back, such as, you know. So it sounds as if you're feeling really concerned because you want to be sure that nobody's disappointed. Am I understanding you? Blah, 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 blah. Okay. And it sounds like you're really feeling nervous, perhaps, because you want to be sure that you have the respect to make the decisions that work for you, that you're given the leeway to make the decisions that work for you. Am I understanding? Blah, 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 blah. And that's how you keep building until somebody says yes. Until somebody says yes, or there's silence, and it's a happy silence, you're not sure. Keep at it, because this is important.
Oh, yes. That big sigh, or all of a sudden they're breathing.
But sometimes people are like, and you know, it's like, okay, was that like a happy sigh or was that a sigh?
Oh, no.
So you have to be, you have to really know the person. You have to really get it.
Read the sigh.
That's right. You have to that's absolutely true.
Oh, gosh. Well, I can see that our director, Fred, has a nice clip that we're going to reflect on. We'll be right back.
Well, I love the language that Thich Nhat Hanh used. He said, so detachment is not about holing up in a cave. It's not about ignoring everyone who's broken your heart. It's not about ignoring lust. And it's not about avoiding romance. Those are not detachment, those are just fear. So most of us have been there, where it's just too painful to think about going into that situation again. You know, and I certainly spent the last 13 years deciding, oh, well, I'm just going to devote myself to serving humanity. I'm going to serve humanity, and I'm going to, you know, stop all the personal priorities that I had. And to some degree, I was serious about that. And to some degree, I was on the right track. And to some degree, there was pain and fear. And you guys who know my story know, well, okay, that's perfectly normal. So I kept working on it, and I kept working on it, and I kept working on it. And thanks to a very dear friend, I came out the other side. Who knew?
There we go, a little self-discovery about Susan.
Who knew?
Oh, what a journey we're all on. Now, how can letting go, or actually, let's say, letting go, diving in, they're just opposite ideas. And again, my brain is getting a little crazy.
Smoke coming out of your ears. I can see it. I can see it. So he explains that letting go doesn't mean what we think it means in the West. So if you're having trouble with the term letting go, don't call it that. Just call it consciousness. Because if you're grabbing somebody, that doesn't work. So if you've been grabbing at him or her, that doesn't work. So now let go. But not let go like pushing him to the other side of the room, but letting him be. So letting him be him, letting her be her, letting you be you, and diving in to the pure joy of intimacy, diving into that love, into the emotions, into the passion, into the gratitude, into the happiness, into the joy, diving in to what it means to be a human living in a body with other humans who have bodies, to fully and deeply experience love. That's what we're talking about tonight.
What a hot topic. So please, Susan, explain to us the first aspect of love that the Buddha actually describes.
So the first one is called Maitri. It's the intention and capacity to offer joy and happiness. And what's interesting about this is it's not what you feel like giving. You know, there are people who give you Christmas gifts that they think you should like. Okay, this is an example of why that doesn't work. So you don't give somebody the sex you think they should enjoy. You don't take people to the restaurant you think they should enjoy. You don't take them on the vacation that you think they should enjoy, though Gigi and I have a friend who finally admitted to her husband that she hated every single vacation he ever took her on. Remember? That was like so shocking. Like we were shocked to hear it, but she was, you know, finally ready to explode. She didn't have the training and the skills to express her preferences all those years. But bottom line, if he thought he was loving her, in fact, he wasn't, because he never did a reality check. He never said, do you enjoy beach vacations? Do you love lying on the beach in the sun the way that I do? Do you love being on the beach with me and only talking to me at all of these resorts for a month at a time and just deeply delving into knowing each other more and more and better and better and better? And if he'd been able to ask that, she would have said, I hate it and I don't want any part of it. I'd rather stay home. But he never did. And that's what Maitri is about. The joy and the contribution to the person of what they need. And you being able to enjoy giving. Because you give a Christmas gift or a birthday gift that the recipient will love. Don't give them the gift that you think they should love.
Well, now I have another Great question for you, Susan. This is about a long-term relationship that we know that intimacy can indeed fall apart. And often alongside sex, I know that you have found the solution, which you teach your clients. Please help us understand what this is.
It's usually a lack of communication, obviously. Intimacy is based on a lot of things, but you can't just have great sex with somebody without having great verbal communication for a period of time. You could do it for a couple of weekends, of course. But over time, and I mean years and years, resentments build up if at least one of you isn't a genius of empathetic communication. I don't mean communication in general. I don't mean if one of you, like my cousin who, has written for the New York Times and the New Yorker for years. That kind of communication is worth nothing in the household, I promise you. So it's about the ability to calm yourself before speaking. And I don't mean stuffing it, because a lot of people think they're calm when Gigi and I would meet them and we'd like, ugh, just being around them is awful. You know what I mean? But they're not calm. They stuffed it. They're disappointed. They're judgmental. They have an opinion. They have a point of view, and they decided they're not going to express it because they don't know how to express it in a way that's going to be productive. Okay, fine. But their partner feels judged. Their partner feels less than. So that's a real nightmare. The solution is always the same solution. Self-empathy, empathy, self-expression, reflection, clarification, and solution. I have taught so many clients to transform their relationships. And even if one or both of them decided they didn't want it anymore, even if one or both of them decided they'd always made a mistake, it was a mistake from the day, first day. The wedding day was the mistake day, like as I learned about my marriages. Oh, well, you learn it, later. Okay. But even then, you can still have a peaceful termination. You don't have to go to war. These are couples that I've taught to have a peaceful divorce without court, Settle it calmly, respectfully, and move on to the fabulous lives that they each wanted all those years that they were sitting there like wooden people, resenting themselves and resenting their partner. You don't want to live that way. Life is much too short.
Yes, there you go, Susan. So explain to us about this marital mediation that you do and that you have developed and have taught so many individuals and couples.
Mediation, guys, I'm a certified mediator, so I work on divorces with people and I work on termination of all sorts of contracts. But marital mediation is for the couple that wants to stay together. It's for the couple where there is a deep and abiding love, no because attached, to use the quote from Dickie. There's no because. I just love him. I just love her. No matter what, I just want to be with that person. I want to be in the same room. I want to be that close to that person. That's where I want to be. And I hope that each and every one of us feels this at different times in our lives or perpetually if we're really lucky. And so when you feel that, you still need a lot of communication skills because you need to reach agreements together. You need to make decisions together. And couples don't learn how to do this. We don't learn any of this in any of our glorious educations. Nothing teaches us this, even law school. Law school certainly doesn't teach people how to become loving, compassionate partners, capable of mediating their disagreements in a peaceful, loving, and intimate way, if only. So that's what marital mediation does. And I teach it, I can teach it to one partner or both. And if both of you are willing to learn it, then your relationship transforms that much faster.
That sounds nice. So it's way better, this system, than to say, could I ask for
the
a
D
pass?
word. The D word.
Yeah, anything. Because I know something's going to come up. No, learn the skills.
First.
Yes. Oh. Well, okay, so it's interesting that I know sometimes that you do indeed teach one partner and sometimes both. What is the difference in those couples? I think you already explained how that plays out.
Speed. So if I'm teaching you and I'm not teaching your husband, that's one of you learning this. That means we have a learning curve with you. Then you get to a certain level where you're an intermediate student and you can start to turn the relationship around all the time. Effectively, consistently, you turn the relationship all around. Now, what if I were also working with him? Or if I started with him and now I'm also working with her? Imagine if both of you are intelligent, if both of you are willing to learn, if both of you have a motivation, if both of you are doing this because you love each other, you love being together, not because one of you is dragging the other to me, not because one of you is complaining and saying she's an idiot, he's an idiot, and fix them. You know, if you don't do any of that fix my partner's stuff, which never works, and you each want to learn, then the results are that much faster. I mean, I've had clients who were able to pull their relationship together in 3 sessions because they each had the 3 sessions. And I am always happy to have both of you on the session at the same time on the phone if you want to. It's just that there are things that one of you wants to tell me and you don't want to tell me in the presence of your partner, then we'll do separate sessions. But so it can be quite inexpensive. And it's fast and the results are truly spectacular.